Hello, and thank you for joining the Champion Within podcast, your premier go-to spot for unlocking your winning mindset. Whether you're an athlete looking to elevate your game to the next level, a coach leading the charge, an enthusiastic parent cheering from the sidelines, or an educator molding young minds, the Champion Within podcast episodes are packed with value, sharing the tools and strategies to unlock your potential and rise to new heights. Hosted by mentor, coach, and mindset leader Kate McCauley. Let's sit back and enjoy today's episode while discovering your champion within. And now, here's Kate.
Today, I have an incredible guest who will truly inspire you with her story and expertise. Dr. Joan Borden started her journey by creating a thriving holistic health center in Midtown Manhattan. She has helped countless individuals through her mastery of vibrational medicine. When life took an unexpected turn and she faced a life-threatening trauma, she was forced to pivot and heal herself. Through personal development and a variety of healing practices, not only did she survive, but she is thriving. She has a brick and mortar office in the Upper East Side of New York City, with her overflowing toolbox, including acupuncture, Reiki, herbs, essential oils, gemstones, sounds, and light therapies, just to name a few. With over 30 years of experience in holistic and vibrational medicine, she is on a mission to help other people all over the world create vibrant health and live their best lives. In this two-part interview, Dr. Borden shares her wisdom, transformative experiences, and actionable advice for you to build a healthier, more empowered life. But here's the twist. Just when you think our conversation can't get any deeper, we're going to leave you wanting more. So get ready to steal her tips, and don't forget to come back for next week, part 2 of this incredible journey. Trust me, you don't want to miss the powerful conclusion. Hey champions, thank you for jumping in today. I am excited to share this guest with you. I'm going to be honest, I'm excited for myself. I'm going to learn some things today. I know you are going to learn. You're going to be taking notes, and we're going to steal what Joan has to share with us. Here's what I want to tell you about Joan. I was at an event in Philly. It was called Women Rising, and this was run by Karen Rockkind. I got to give her a shout out. She did an amazing job at this event. When I was at this 2-day event, there was a lot of incredible women in this room. But I got to tell you, Joan stood out. She was in the front, and she, was bringing it, just passionate about the work she does. She and I got to speak briefly at different moments during this conference, and I really just was excited to learn more about what she was doing, and I think you're going to learn a lot from her too. Sit back, maybe get your pen ready, take some notes, and enjoy what she has to share with us. Joan, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm great, Kate, and thank you for that lovely introduction. I had a great time at that event. It was super, and I really enjoyed meeting you too.
Thank you. So I want you to tell my listeners a little bit about who you are. I think that'll probably be the best way for them to find out what exactly does Joan do in the world.
Well, I do many things. I've been on a very big evolutionary journey. And I think what's really interesting to me is when you talk to me about what you were doing, and at first glance, people would think, well, what I do is I've been in clinical medicine for over 30 years, both a conventional Western and vibrational medicine, energy medicine. What that means is acupuncture, sound, moving our insides with frequency, which is very new in our environment because many people are talking today about unlimited potential, limitless possibilities. What I wanted to find out and what I needed to find out, because I needed to heal myself with all this background, I wanted to change the trajectory of my life because I had some real challenges. I was run over by a taxi. I had an eye tumor. I had all this stuff happen. Conventional Western medicine, I couldn't have done it without them. It's fabulous. I use it all the time. However, to get to what I think of in athletics is the zone. the place of optimal function, the place of really going for it, knowing that your target is no matter what, you're going to win. And what that means is you just don't play small, to me. And you just put everything into the trajectory you want, the target you want to hit. For me, that was learning how to change my inner landscape, as I call it. As it's not, I didn't coin that word. It's thousands of years old from Chinese medicine, Taoist philosophy. That's a little bit about what I do. Currently, I'm working with clients as a life coach and mentor specializing in health, really integrating conventional Western medicine with how to change the inner landscape, the movement in our body, so that everything moves with the path of least resistance, because that's the zone.
I love this, Joan. You know that when you and I got to speak a little bit, I was like, I need to get your information right away because there's so many things I want to pull out. We're going to talk about a lot of those things that you just mentioned. But when you talk about Western medicine was helpful, it's not that we're saying don't use doctors. We're not saying that at all. When I talk about mindset or acupuncture and different things, sometimes people fear it in some ways because they think, oh no, what is Kate doing here? Thinking I'm a witch doctor, so to speak. And it's like, no, this is a part of the plan. I think that you nailed it the way you described that. People are neglecting this part. And when you said to get in the zone because we want to win, that is what every single person and team and coach and really corporate spaces, when they come to me and say, we want our people to reach peak performance, they need to be in the zone. So I want to first, before you give us some tips, because you have some amazing things, I want to first go back to when you experienced an injury that you had to do something for yourself. I know you mentioned it briefly there, but tell us maybe a little story so my listeners can understand what you went through, and then how did you use this inner workout to help you heal?
That's a really good question, because it was really the beginning of me putting it all together. I had been doing medicine for many years, and then it wasn't that long ago, in 2015, I was run over by a taxi in New York City near my apartment, and I was actually underneath the taxi. Had there not been a passenger, he wouldn't have stopped, but he had to stop. And I'm grateful, because I probably would not have made it. My left big toe was underneath the tire, and I'm actually coming out with a product that I've been using for 20 years. That's a vibrational medical product with a gemstone that I use. I never lost my toenail. As the orthopedist said, this was a heck of a bone density test. What I learned was I could take everything going on, but if I didn't go into my body and investigate where I was noticing discomfort, where I was noticing the pain, and really pinpointing it and using my breath, I would love to teach the entire world how to breathe, because to me, that is the key to life. Now, we know that. It sounds almost silly to say that. However, I learned in yoga for many, many years before this. You breathe into the space, you open it. But what I learned from running through this way of being to change my trajectory was I use my breath not just to breathe in when I feel it. On the exhale, if you breathe into the space of noticing, of awareness, and you open it, you're actually manifesting space in your body that was not there before. And
I love this
and
so
what
much.
does that do for healing? That increases oxygenation, that increases blood flow, that increases lymphatic drainage, that increases total ability to do whatever we're doing, sports, living, anything.
It's incredible. I don't think people really understand that. Again, Joan, I knew you were just going to explain this so beautifully to everyone. Thank you. When you just said, I want to share that with the world, I loved it. I'm nodding my head here because This is what I do in workshops. I teach children, athletes, teachers, corporate people how to breathe, because we often say to people, well, just take a breath. Oh, just breathe. And we don't know how to properly breathe. And we make assumptions that people know how to just do that, or just think about what you're doing. You set your goals. They don't know how to do these things, and they have to get into their body. They have to feel it. They have to breathe correctly. I'm wondering, Joan, are you able to quickly, and I know we, can't see everyone right now, but are you able to give anyone who's listening a technique or a tool or a tip how they could start to learn how to breathe properly so that they could make space for those things and focus on those areas that they need to work on for athletics, for healing? What would you tell them?
Absolutely. I do this all the time with my clients, my patients. I did it for years. The first thing I would say is to just get a sense of presence in your body. Where are you in space? Where is your head? Are your shoulders? Where are your feet? Feel your torso. Are you one-sided to one? Where are you? And then take a nice big deep breath. But that's not the main thing. That's the beginning. Now, take a breath in, and let's all do this together if who's ever listening. Take a deep breath in. Count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it a little bit and exhale double the amount you inhaled. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is something that was coined so many years ago. It was one of the first books I read when I was in medicine as a chicken nugget. Dr. Robert Benson, I believe was his name, and it's called the relaxation response. It's 4 in, 8 out. And if you have a shorter or longer inhalation, just double it for the exhalation. And what that does is it pops you right into that parasympathetic state so that you're not in fight or flight. So if you're somewhere and something is activating you, or you have an injury, or something's happening and you need that space between stimulus and response, that's where the magic is. And if you do that breathing technique, you will be able to have that space to know what's your next right step.
So my listeners right now, I love that Joan just guided you through, and I can picture them, especially the teams I work with and people one-to-one, the groups, they all just did that breath work, and you, again, beautifully described it. The thing that people need to remember here is, how do we put this into life? And you said it perfectly. You can use this in situations where you need to calm down. You feel like I'm in that fight or flight. Maybe that is in a tough situation at work. Maybe that is a conversation you're having with a partner, or you're in a team situation, you're a coach, your team is looking pretty stressed in the huddle. Let's do that. It doesn't take 25 minutes. We did that very quickly with you here on the podcast. You most definitely can do that for yourself, for your athletes, for your students. Could you imagine, Joan, if every teacher started their day like that for themselves and then did it with their students? What a
My pipe dream is to go around the world, and that is just the beginning. The other breath that I was talking to you about takes a little more guidance, where you kind of go into your body, you start to feel with your imagination, because of course we can't see without imaging what's actually going on inside. But as we become attuned to that inner landscape, we have so much power. It's extraordinary. My foot was not connected to my leg after I was run over by the taxi. The ankle was totally shattered. And there was a chance that I would not have a foot, a part of my leg. And now I can walk 10 miles. I barely get tired. And
So
I have
what did you do, Joan? What did you do?
no hardware in my feet anymore, or legs. It's all been taken out. What I did was, well, I'm an acupuncturist. I'm a craniosacral practitioner. I use gemstones. I use oils. The people are afraid of vibrational medicine because it sounds woo-woo. It's based on scientific principles. I'm a scientist. I'm a doctor. I don't dispel the woo because I have a lot of intuitive ways myself. However, what are we doing when we're changing the frequency in our body? It's like a building going up. I live in New York City where there are always big buildings going up. So you see the structure before the rest of the building goes up. So you see the inner framework. And any dis-ease or any discomfort or anything that is not moving to you that allows you to reach your full potential, be in the zone, be fully present for an exam, be fully present for a sporting event. Anything that is dispelling that and creates space, you can change by going in and changing the frequency of whatever is holding a disease pattern. Mm-hmm. If you break that down, and we know that things can break down. We go to a concert, we hear music. The sound changes our insides. Mm. We can do that with tuning forks. I have people using tuning forks on their body. I did that. That's one of the things. I used self-massage is an incredible tool to use to learn about the inside from the outside. And Qigong, I love Qigong. I do yoga, Qigong, but Qigong, even the standing posture, creates an entire different presence for any young people who are feeling discomfort about their space in the world, not feeling fully confident. When you go into, I coined it posture up. What is it? It's not, I didn't develop it. It's the Qigong posture that everyone...
Before you go on, I want you to tell them what this is with Qigong. Some of my listeners might not know what that is. So tell them the posture after this. But okay. So let's say I have a listener. Some of my listeners could be younger athletes or their parents, coaches. They're thinking right now, Kate, what are you talking about, you and Joan? So what is Qigong, first off? And then tell them, what is this posture? How can they use it?
Sure. Qigong is been around for thousands of years. It's an ancient Chinese Taoist. Everything with Taoist philosophy and medicine is all the same. There's not just medicine like we have here and mindset separately. It's all married. And that's where I got the idea because I'm an acupuncturist. And so I've studied for as long as I've been a doc, Chinese medicine. I have a great background in the movement of energy in the body and mind. Mm-hmm. And Qigong is a way to use our breath to move our body. If you're an athlete, that's exactly what you want. You want to be able to utilize the breath to create the movement in your body that you want. And I have a really good story about this. I want to tell us. And then I'll show you the posture up because it's really simple and we can all do it. One of my patients, when I had a holistic health center in New York City a number of years ago, one of my patients came in one day and I knew she was an athlete. I didn't really know much about her. She was pretty new. And she said to me that she had been injured and she was training for her event without doing the physical movement. She was training in her mind. Now, all athletes kind of know this, but it's how to get the focus to be able to do that. And when she said that to me, I thought, this was a new concept for me. I mean, one of my heroes, and many people will think, oh, it's probably someone from ancient times or some female amazing person. No. Right. One of my heroes is Michael Jordan because I have seen him play when he was in his prime. And I have never seen anyone in the zone like I saw that. And to me, that's exactly what this young woman was doing. She was an elite athlete. It was just before the Olympics, and she was a shot put person, and she trained and she placed third. Her only training was in her mind.
Forget the boring seminars. Our workshops are all about real connections and real results. Whether it's virtual or in person, we're here to elevate your success. After the show, visit shop.danunow.com to learn more and set up a free call to chat. We tailor our programs to fit your needs and goals. Let's get back to the show. Wow. So she was visualizing. I don't think all athletes actually know to do this. I think that some of them are doing it and they don't realize what they're doing and they're not doing it enough. I think that some athletes need to be taught how to do the visualization, but when they realize that what you're focusing on becomes your reality and your brain doesn't know the difference between what you're visualizing and what is actually happening, and that those neural pathways can actually change. I mean, I did this in athletics, in my teaching career with my son's brain with dyslexia. I did it for my business. Quite literally, I built my business and the things I'm doing, visualizing myself. I do it still every single day. And once you realize that you can do this, it's incredible and people are mind blown and it's really pretty cool. And I think it's a disservice not to teach athletes this side of it, because so much of sport is mental, So when she was doing that as the athlete, she was injured and she was visualizing it. And then she came to you to help with the injury, or what did you help her with?
At the time I was a holistic dentist and I had a big office. I had a 11-room office in Midtown. Half my office, I had different, holistic health practitioners. And then half my office, I worked in holistic dentistry and cosmetic dentistry.
Okay.
What she did, and what really was the first time I put it together, was she activated the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, as if they were performing the actual event. And you see this in elite athletes when you watch them preparing to go next. You can see almost in their minds, like they're almost moving their body as their mind is thinking, going through what they're going to be performing.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it all the time. If now that we know to look for it, your listeners, they'll probably notice it. And
Right.
How do you get that focus? I have another little story I just have to share because it's one of my favorites. I was walking, I'll start kind of in the middle. I had a kayak holding it on the top of my head like this, and I'm walking along a riverbank with a small group. I was in a class for whitewater kayaking. And we're scouting the river because we want to look at the rapids and see if we think we can do it. Otherwise, we just, go down river. And the people who were instructors were very few people actually said they were going to do it. But I always say, when people ask me, are you ready? I go, yes. And then I go, what are we doing?
I love that about you, Joan. That's why you and I really clicked right away when we were talking. I love that.
So this was like that. So when the instructors said, okay, who thinks they want to do it? And 2/3 of the group dropped out, but many of the people had already done this before. This was my first experience in a kayak. Not that day, but that week.
Right.
So, we had been on the river and this was towards the end of our time. I said to one of the instructors, as we're walking down and scouting out the rapid, do you think I can do it? Because they knew my skill level. We had been on many rivers that week and some of them were hard, some of them weren't so hard, but we were learning and doing Eskimo rolls it was a whole thing. Mm-hmm. And so the person said to me, well, if you focus. And that was the first time I realized that athletics is totally about our ability to be fully present. In this day and age, everybody's talking, and I'm happy they are, about being in the present moment. There is nothing like being in the present moment than looking at something that you are going through that you can have no distractions, zero. So this was that for me. So we go to the Eddy before where we're all kind of lining up to go. There's an instructor on one end, so it was safe. This was in an Olympic training place, the NOC, Nantahala Outdoor Center in, I think that's North Carolina, because I always like to go for it. It looks very different when you're in the river as opposed to when you're looking from the river bank.
Very
So
true.
I'm sitting in the Eddy and I'm looking at it and I say to the guy, that looks really different. Is there any other way out? He goes, through.
Through, right.
So, I did it. I have a photo of it. In fact, I keep it now as my screensaver because it shows me that I can do anything if I put my mind to it and I focus.
I would just love for all my listeners to take that story and, of course, put your mind to it and focus, but also remember that you need to go through it. You need to go through it sometimes because, Joan, you really could have said, I'm not getting in there. We love to whitewater raft. We've done kayaking, but not kayaking with the rapids. We've done some easy kayaking, myself, my husband, and the kids, but we've done whitewater rafting in the rafts, and we've done Olympic level courses, and my kids are all about it now, and they love to ride the bull in the front, grab the ring, in the beginning, I was nervous, but you got to get in there and ride through it. And I think that in itself, whether or not my listeners have ever done whitewater rafting, whatever your situation is, you need to go through it because Joan could have said, I'm not getting in there. There is a way out, even though really it would have been difficult. You could walk back. There is a way out, but you have to go through it. If you want to be successful, if you want to get in the zone, if you want to learn that focus and be in the present moment, I think that is a lesson. Joan, would you have a tip for my athletes or maybe a coach to teach the athletes when you say to a kid, because when I'm teaching, and this goes from a young athlete, middle school, high school to collegiate level, even when I had the performance coach from the Celtics on the show, when you say focus, we get it, you and I, because I do breath work, you do breath work. We're into this mindset stuff. But when we're teaching other people, athletes especially, or someone who's really competitive or a successful person, they're not quick to say to me, I don't know what you mean by that. And they just say, oh, okay, sure, I'll focus. But they don't know how. I know we practice the breath work a little bit. Do you have any other tips that you would give them to quickly get into that present moment where they could be, I want to say, really in touch with their inner knowing and their body? Is there anything you do personally or something that they could steal?
Very simple, and many people do this. I put one hand on my heart center, one hand on my belly. And what does this do besides the fact that you see so many people do it? It's connecting energetic pathways in our body. It's connecting our genetic inheritance, which is in our belly, in our pelvic cavity, with our heart area, which basically is, I always think that we have two brains. We have our brain, and we have our heart brain, because what really runs the show for us? When we're in fear, we're not thinking so much, oh, how am I going to navigate this? We're gripped and our heart is like, oh no. So if we just do that and we remember that this is connecting our genetic inheritance, our essence, our ability for all of our energy to move with our heart's desire, that gives us a little place, a little opening. The other thing I would say to your listeners is fear is not a bad thing. Fear is a neon sign in your frontal space of your head that says, pay attention here, because we want to take a breath. Fear is the invitation to stop, not respond, and see what's in between that stimulus and response, and to look in back, because there's always something in back. Fear is I think fear has really helped me live the best life I could have, because without it, I wouldn't be looking at what was possible or what I thought was impossible to start.
I love that view. That's really a great way to help people shift too. I love the tip, the hand on your heart and your belly, and just focus on that. Brings you into your body. You can ground into it and add your breath work in there too. Very quick, easy way to do it. Really anyone, athletes, people who aren't athletes who listen to my show can steal that one too. That's a wrap. Part 1 of my incredible conversation with Dr. Joan Borden. A huge thank you to Dr. Joan for sharing her powerful journey and so much wisdom with us today. Make sure you tune in next week for part 2. We dive even deeper and you are going to experience a personal transformation. You won't want to miss it. Believe me, it's the perfect way to end your year feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to step into your best self in 2025. Until then, keep unlocking your inner champion.
Thank you for hanging out with Kate today. And whether you're going to coach, teach, cheer from the sidelines, or hitting the field yourself, remember, mindset is everything. Don't forget to follow the show for the latest episodes, as we all need a little extra motivation, humor, and sanity in our busy lives. Now, go and unleash your champion within you, one step at a time. We're always rooting for you.